Alright, so in this particular video we're going to take a look more at equations in Unit 2.5, and in this particular video we're going to talk about that whole slope-intercept thing, and then pulling stuff from the slope-intercept or graphing with the x and y's, and kind of going back and forth of what can happen here. So start us off. Recall that this is standard form. So standard form is in the format where you have ax plus by is equal to c. And so that's standard form. A couple things from the standard form that make our life really convenient is that we can find x and y intercepts really quickly. So if we wanted to graph this thing with x and y intercepts, remember that our x-intercept is found when we let y be equal to 0, and our y-intercept can be found when we let x be equal to 0. So let's take a look at that real quick. So we come over here in this guy and we take it and we say, okay, well, we got 4x plus 5 times 0 is equal to negative 10. So that gives me 4x. The 5 times 0 just goes away because that's 0, equals negative 10. The inverse of multiplying by 4 is to divide by 4. And so we walk away from this guy saying that we have x is equal to a negative 5 over 2. Which means that our x-intercept occurs at negative 5 over 2 comma 0. We look at the y-intercept, it goes the same way. So we come across, and let's use red on this one. Black. So we come over here and we got 4, and we let x be equal to 0, plus 5y is equal to negative 10. Obviously the 4 and the 0 cancel or turn into 0, so I get 5y equals negative 10. I divide by 5, I divide by 5, and I get y is equal to negative 2. So that means that my y-intercept would occur at 0 comma negative 2. So from here, what I can do is that I have the ability to graph. So whether you were doing this in my math lab or whatever, we'll just draw a quick little sketch. And 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So if I wanted to go and plot my x-intercept, negative 5 over 2, that's 2.5. So I go over negative 2.5, 0, I draw a dot, and that's negative 5 over 2 comma 0. And then if I wanted to plot, then we use red for this one. If I wanted to plot my y-intercept, that'd be 0, negative 2, and that'd be right there. And so now we have enough information, we have 2 points that we can connect those dots and get the equation of our graph. Now, same thing would apply to this guy, but I'm going to use this guy for a separate example, and that example being is that sometimes to graph things it's just going to be just as easy to put it into slope-intercept form. So remember, slope-intercept form is the form of y equals mx plus b. So this is a decision that you have to make. Normally in these videos I create something that's very specific. Okay, here's what you do, here's how you solve it. But what I'm doing here is I'm giving this broad perspective so that way you can solve a variety of type of questions. So I want to take this guy and put him into slope-intercept form. So I subtract 3x. I want to solve for y, right? My 3x's cancel. I get negative y is equal to negative 3x plus 2. Well, my y is not technically by itself, so I'll go ahead and divide by a negative 1. So when I simplify that out, my negatives cancel, I get y is equal to 2 negatives make a positive, and a negative and a positive make a negative. So that switches my signs around right there for those two. So that means in this case here, my slope is 3, and my y-intercept is negative 2. So we can very quickly draw a graph of this guy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I can come down here and I can say, okay, my y-intercept is at negative 2. My slope, remember, is rise over run, so that's my rise, and this is my run. So from that point on my y-intercept, I rise 1, 2, 3, I run 1. I can do it again. 1, 2, 3, run 1. So remember, it's rise over run. Rise over run. Once again, I have enough information now to be able to draw the equation of that line. So this particular video, to kind of start us off, just kind of goes back over that fact of, hey, if I did have standard form, how could I graph this? I could use intercepts, x-intercepts and y-intercepts. That gives me 2 points I can graph. It doesn't tell me the slope of the y-intercept. Well, it does say the y-intercept, excuse me. Or I could just go ahead and solve it for y and find the slope and y-intercept. Let me hit pause and make sure we got everything we need for this video. Alright, so that wraps up this video. We'll just kind of keep them short and sweet for this round.